A woman named Cynthia emailed me and she said that she wanted to share her spooky, scary story time about being able to communicate telepathically with dolphins while working overnights as a janitor in the dolphin exhibit at a zoo. She did not want me to use her real name. She did not want me to name the zoo, but she said that she does not consider herself a person that is telepathic. She's never had an experience like this before, but she has a whole new view on animals after this experience. And although this doesn't fit the typical theme of spooky, scary story time, I feel like it's weird enough to share, but forewarning, it is a little bit sad, so maybe just skip this one if you don't want to cry, because I definitely teared up a little bit after I read this email. So Cynthia said 20 years ago, she started working overnights as a janitor at a zoo. She was a single mother. She did not have a wide variety skill set. She never graduated high school and her son was in grade school. She took the overnight janitor job because it allowed her time with her son in the day. She would work all night while her son was at her father's house. Then she would come home, take him to school, and then sleep while he was at school, pick him up and spend the evenings with him before going back to work. The schedule was working for her. She was assigned specifically the dolphin exhibit. If you've ever been to a dolphin show at a zoo or an aquarium, you know what I'm talking about. The big arena with the pool in the middle where the dolphins perform tricks. That was her assignment. And she said it was always filthy. There was always like popcorn, things that she had to pick up at the end of the night, but she actually liked it. It was quiet. The only sounds were the water filtering and the water splashing. And she thought watching the dolphins was peaceful. She thought they were beautiful and smart. She would watch them play. And she said, to her, the best of her knowledge, she thinks that the zoo took good care of them. One night she's working and she comes across a little rat that is drowning in a puddle of water. It can't get out. So she takes it out. It was like half alive, half breathing. So she actually gave it mouth to mouth CPR. She said she doesn't know what possessed her to do it, but she just didn't want to watch it suffer. The rat gasped. It let out a little cough. She said she didn't know what to do. It was the end of her shift. So she just took it home with her. She said up to this point, she never had like a particular penchant for rats or anything like that. They actually kind of grossed her out, but she felt bad for it and she didn't know what to do. So she just brought it home. And that rat ended up being a pet to her family for the next 4 years. But I digress. She gets back to work the next night. She's cleaning. She's doing her normal routine. She gets down to the tank and she's wiping down the glass where people can walk up and see the dolphins closer. And she notices that one of the dolphins, who she calls Nia, Nia was following her as she was wiping down the glass. So she kind of looks at her and she noticed that Nia was watching her with like a certain intensity that she had never experienced before. She said she tried to engage with her. She was waving. She's like, hi. And Nia wasn't doing anything. She was just watching her. But every time she would take a step, Nia would follow. Nia was focused, watching her every move. She was cleaning for a little while longer and then she heard her name, clear as day, Cynthia. Cynthia was immediately confused because she always worked alone. There was never anyone in that building. So she turns around. She thinks maybe it's a security guard or somebody there that's not supposed to be there. And there's nobody there. So she goes back to cleaning and she hears it again, Cynthia. She said it wasn't coming from anywhere, but it was coming from everywhere at the same time. And then she realized it was coming from her own head. So she's like, I'm losing it. I'm hearing voices. I am sleep deprived. Clearly I need to go home. But she looks up, she looks into the tank and Nia is floating there staring at her with the same intensity. And she hears it again, Cynthia. And she believes at this point that it is coming telepathically from Nia the dolphin. Side of the glass, just staring at Nia, Nia staring at her. And then Nia says, what? Cynthia is like questioning her own sanity. She's like, there's no way this dolphin's talking to me. She continues cleaning the glass and Nia says it again. What are you doing? So Cynthia is like, what do I have to lose? Like, no one's here to witness this. Like, so she decides she's going to talk to the dolphin back. She goes, I'm cleaning, I'm working. And Nia says, what's working? And she said that that night she realized that dolphins can communicate with humans, but they don't communicate the same way that humans do. It's not in words. It's in intuition. It's in thoughts. It's in actions. And it's in feelings. But she could hear her voice clear as day. And that night marked the first of many conversations that Cynthia would have with Nia. Cynthia said that she knew that she would never ever be able to prove that she was having conversations with Nia, and even if she was, nobody would ever believe her anyway. But she took solace in the fact that she could communicate with Nia, and Nia became a friend. And Nia was insanely curious. She wanted to know everything about Cynthia, all about what she did outside of work, which was a concept that she really struggled to understand, regardless of how many times Cynthia explained it. When Cynthia tried to explain why she was working, which was to provide for her son, Nia asked, what's a son? And Cynthia explained it as a child, the same people that come to watch you perform. To which Nia asked, why do they come to watch me perform? Cynthia explained to her that it was a form of entertainment, and Nia expressed to her that she wanted to go back to see her own son, her own family. It became a constant topic of conversation. She would come in, they would have their normal chat. Nia would ultimately ask her, can you help me go back home? Nia expressed multiple times to Cynthia that although she was well cared for, well fed, she wanted to go home and she felt disconnected from something she couldn't describe. Cynthia continued having conversations with Nia for about a year when one night Nia calls her over to the tank and she reveals to her that she's pregnant. Cynthia immediately felt an overwhelming sense of joy for Nia. But her sense of excitement was quickly overshadowed by Nia's seeming sadness. She asked her what was wrong, and Nia tells her something is wrong with my son. Meanwhile, the zoo was very excited about Nia's pregnancy. They took her off shows, off performances. She didn't have to work. But Cynthia would make special trips to see her in her tank, and Nia continued to tell her something is wrong. So Cynthia decides she has to do something. She goes to the zoo director. I misspoke. I'm sorry. It was not the zoo director. I just checked the email. She said it was her supervisor. So she goes to the supervisor and she says, I think something is wrong with Nia and her baby. And her supervisor basically just tells her, it's fine. Dolphins give birth in captivity all the time. Nothing is wrong. She's being closely monitored by a team of aquatic vets. She is fine. Cynthia tells Nia, like, look, I'm working on it. I told them that you think something is wrong. They said that you're fine. They said that there's vets monitoring and everything with your baby is fine. And Nia tells her, no, something is wrong with my son. Everything was not fine. A few months later, Cynthia was not there when it happened, but she said she came into work to find out that Nia had given birth and her baby was born stillborn. She said she cannot express the grief that she felt for Nia. It was if it was her own. She said she still feels a sense of sadness and grief for Nia. She went to see her that night and Nia was just floating there looking at her, but she wouldn't talk. She said she swam up to her. She was just floating there, radiating a sense of sadness so deep that Cynthia said it almost broke her. Cynthia said Nia never spoke to her again. It was like she shut her out, and Nia was actually transferred out of the zoo to another zoo not long after that, which was when Cynthia decided it was time for her to quit. She says she left because the weight of what she experienced, as well as just feeling helpless because she was just a janitor, was too much for her to bear. She says she does not know what happened to Nia, where she ended up, but since then she cannot work with animals in captivity of any kind. She said she has never had another experience feeling a telepathic connection with an animal, but she ended her email by saying she doesn't care if anyone believes her. She knows that it was real, and she asked me to ask my audience to be careful of the organizations you support, because often the ones that suffer the most are the ones without voices. I'm literally trying not to cry because that is maybe the saddest story I've gotten so far. Keep sending me your spooky, scary stories. You're weird, you're outrageous. The ones that you think no one will believe, I'll keep adding them to this playlist.